Hello, everybody. Welcome to week number 4 of the Power Rankings. I'm Coins, and this week wasn't as upset heavy. It wasn't. But there were still some exciting matches. I got my green on tonight. Tonight's the Super Bowl for the Eagles. I know it's a Michigan State shirt. I don't have an Eagles shirt. I got my blue on in the background, not for the Patriots, but for a different Boston area team that happens to be really, really good as well. Dreamcast for Tom Brady. Which one do you guys want? I'd take Dreamcast for any day of the week. Let's take a look at my power rankings this week. They are almost identical to the standings. Power rankings are usually supposed to be different from standings. They are. But sometimes the standings are right. The only place where it's wrong is Gladiator's Shock, and I'll explain that later. We always go top down. So we'll start at the top with the Spitfire, who I had at number 3 last week. This week they looked really, really good. They faced the Seoul Dynasty, of course, and beat them 4-0. Not even 3-2. 4-0. They brought in their GC Busan supports and tanks that they have been hiding away all season long. They finally brought them out, and they looked fantastic. These players, we saw them in the preseason. They lost to the Gladiators. They lost tons of maps. They looked really, really good this week. A lot more consistent than the lineup that the Spitfire usually bring out. And of course, they beat Seoul 4-0 because of it. There were some other reasons, obviously. I think the Spitfire really surprised Seoul with this lineup. I don't think Seoul was expecting it at all, especially since the news came in that Spitfire is practicing within their own team now. They are not scrimming other teams. They are scrimming their own lineups, which is something I love. I love to see. It allows them to hide strategies, and it's the future of esports once everybody gets a 12-player lineup, especially here in the Overwatch League, obviously. Seoul tried to do a similar thing and surprise the London Spitfire by sitting Ryu Jae-hong, but as someone in the competitive Overwatch subreddit said, that would be like the Cleveland Cavaliers trying to surprise the Golden State Warriors by sitting LeBron. Why sit your best player? There's no point in that. You're not going to surprise the London Spitfire by that. You're going to make them excited about it. They're like, Ryu Jae-hong's not playing? Oh, hell yeah. So the Spitfire have moved up 2. They 4-0'd 2 opponents this week. One was the Dragons, of course. But this lineup does look like the best lineup in the entire league. They just look so much better, they're working as a team more. They're way more cohesive. And that's why they passed the Excelsior, who is at number 2. Excelsior didn't necessarily have a bad week. They only dropped one map to the Dallas Fuel, who the Fuel keep games close. They take maps off a lot of people. So nothing wrong with the Excelsior this week. Just a lot right for the Spitfire this week. So I moved down the Excelsior. Dynasty, of course, moved down one as well, just because the Spitfire beat them 4-0. They looked like themselves again against Houston. I think a lot of people are overreacting to them having a close game against Houston without Linkser. I still think Seoul looked fantastic in this game. I think people just think Seoul is this dominant entity that needs to 4-0 everybody, or else something's wrong with them. The truth is, these other teams, they've been able to practice against Seoul. They've been able to, especially Excelsior and Spitfire, who have been playing against Seoul for way before the Overwatch League. These teams are finally starting to understand Seoul's roster. They're starting to understand their strategies. Once you practice and play against the team enough, you're going to start being able to beat them. Stop expecting Seoul to 4-0 everybody. It's just not going to happen. Seoul looked a lot better in this game with Ryu Jae-hong in, and they just looked more cohesive as a unit, and they did, on Horizon Lunar Colony, have probably the best defense I have ever seen this entire year so far. I'm going to analyze that in my map analysis tomorrow. The Outlaws sticking at number 4 this week. They were the out sick laws this week. Linkser and Raucus still played. Linkser did not play, but Raucus was also sick in that game against the Dynasty. Mendo had some wisdom teeth issues, so he wasn't exactly sick, but he was in pain. So the Clockwork had to come in, and you gotta give props to Clockwork. He's a player known for his mistakes, and he kept them to a minimum this week. Super impressed by Clockwork. He didn't play out of his mind. He wasn't Linkser level, obviously, but he minimized the mistakes, and that was key to bringing the Houston Outlaws to a fifth map and a final point on that fifth map against an amazing Soul Dynasty team. The Uprising, Dreamcasper, Note, the fantastic supports we've been seeing all year. Don't forget Striker. People have been talking about Dreamcasper so much that people are starting to forget about Striker, who also played out of his mind in a 4-0 against the Valiant, of course, this week. They're alive. This team is alive. They said they had stage fright at the beginning of the season. I now see that. They don't have stage fright. They're out there like celebrating, going absolutely ham on the stage. This team is ready to play. And apparently they're looking like the best team in scrims. I now see why people are saying that. This team plays as a unit. They're so cohesive. Note is such a team diva player. He's probably the most team diva player in this entire league. He's not aggressive at all. He sticks back and he sacrifices himself for his team. Dreamcasper is just an insane DPS. Striker is an insane tracer. This team is the real deal, just like Uber said. I wouldn't watch him out. Watch out for them this week because they control their destiny on this playoffs thing. They face Philly and Houston next week, so they could be there as long as those top three teams do fall. Valiant, I did talk about them a little bit less, but the biggest difference between the Valiant and the Uprising, they're both they're so similar in playstyle. They both love dive. They're both super good at dive, but the biggest difference between the two is that Uprising is more confident about it. The Los Angeles Valiant on Horizon, they cave into the meta. They try to play Orisa Hog and Sombra and all these other strats that don't fit their playstyle at all, while Boston is out here still just playing dive every single time on the first point of Horizon. And the reason Valiant are worse on offense, worse on defense on the first point of this map is because they're not embracing their own style. The Valiant still stick at number 6, though, because they did beat the Fusion 4-0, sandwiched in between the two 4-0s that happened to them this week. Fusion, they'll get better. They got 0-4 to the Valiant, but then they 4-0'd the Dallas Fuel. They will get better. This team just needs to practice together more, some more team cohesion. Confusing why Poco's not playing, I know, but it seems like they just don't want to go with Poco for now. Gladiators and Shock, my one difference in the standings. I just think the Gladiators have a more talented roster. The Shock did look better this week as far as team cohesion goes. The Hack wasn't dying first as much against the Florida Mayhem, but I still think the Gladiators just have a more well-rounded team. Fuel finally caved in, put them down at near the bottom, and then the Mayhem and the Dragons also joined them at the bottom. The Fuel, they can rise, obviously. They compete against teams, but they're just not good enough yet. That's my power rankings for the week. Tomorrow, map analysis. Like I said, Dynasty Outlaws map analysis, so subscribe to check it out. Subscribe to this channel. I make at least 3 videos a week on the Overwatch League. Thank you guys for watching.